Banjo Kazooie has a very specific element of whimsy to it that kinda fits perfectly with Christmas. Even though there is only one Christmas level in the actual game, it is high in the running for the greatest Christmas-themed level in a video game, period. It almost brings to mind things like the old Grinch cartoon from 1966. So I think it was kind of fate, really, that the earliest example of a Banjo Kazooie ROM hack with a fully custom level was SnowGlow Village, a single level dedicated to being a winter wonderland. And if any ROM hack deserved to be remade, it was definitely this one. And it's a great fit for Kirko Mods, who has been putting out a new Christmas-themed ROM hack every Christmas for the last couple of years. This was last year's Christmas special, and as usual, I'm a year late to the party, but at least I'm here. But before I talk about the new SnowGlow Village, let's talk about the old one. Now, Banjo Kazooie ROM hacks have come a long way since this one. But when this came out, it was a big deal. I can still remember when I first played it all of those years ago, way back in 2012. I wasn't even making videos yet. Back then, even just ROM hacking N64 games in general, especially compared to today, still seemed like it was in its elementary school days, just barely learning how to draw a line graph. Banjo Kazooie ROM hacks specifically were almost unheard of. Today, there are a lot of them, and they're kind of taken for granted, but back then, it was mind-blowing to see a new level in Banjo Kazooie, especially for me. Banjo was easily my biggest obsession back when that ROM hack came out, so it was more than a big deal. It's a brief but very dense ROM hack, and at the time, the feat alone was incredible. It was an exemplary demonstration of the ROM hacking tools that were new at the time, and it's possible that without this, we would not be where we are today. And on top of being a great embodiment of the Christmas spirit, all the way down to Santa's sled on top of a house, it's a pretty fun hack too, for what it is. And one of the coolest things about this remake is the fact that it contains a complete and fully playable version of that original level, left fully intact in its original state, just to show you where it all began. But before you get to that part of the game, you have to play the remade version. This remake actually contains a pretty big section dedicated to a whole bunch of different Banjo Kazooie ROM hacks and the people who made them. And not only that, but there are even shoutouts to some of their other projects as well, like Brigadoon by Jackson G13 and Cavern of Dreams by By9. Kazooie pipes up to piss on the parade as usual. Check it out, there's a sign for Mario Kart 64 Amped Up. I like this one because I'm into special thanks. There's also a sanctuary dedicated to all of Kirko's projects, including ones that are still in development. But let's talk about the new village. Like always, the game is very funny. I remember I got to this room with a big red button and a billion signs saying, "Do not press this button." Look, even Conker makes an appearance. In classic Kirko fashion, there are a ton of Easter eggs from other games. And some literal Easter eggs as well. You got this wallpaper with balloons from Diddy Kong Racing and a bunch of paintings on the wall, and of course, you got a bunch of games all over the place because everyone in this town has terrible spending habits and blows all their cash on old video games. Like me. You gotta keep those on a shelf, man. You can't just leave them out like that, they're gonna get dust. And I gotta say, I do question some of their sensibilities. Somebody here is playing Castlevania Legacy of Darkness. That game is terrible, you don't want to play that. But apart from being a nice Banjo Kazooie level, it also really nails the Christmas attitude as well. Walking around in a Christmas-themed Banjo Kazooie level is like walking around in a giant version of those little Christmas snow globes you see sometimes. Now remember when I said it reminds me of the Grinch? Well, here we are at Mount Crumpet with all the killer snowmen. Remember that from the cartoon? Maybe I watched a different version. The music is also full of the magic of Christmas. Ebenezer Scrooge would shit his ass. If it sounds familiar, it's a remixed version of the beta version of the Freeze Easy Peak music, which was the original song used in the old version of SnowGlow Village. I know that because I'm the realest Banjo fan of all time. I think the most unique thing about Kirko's hacks is that even more so than the original game, They are a treasure hunt on a massive scale. You have to really pay attention to the clues of the world. Sometimes I even break out my phone and jot down notes on a notepad. Even the remade version of SnowGlow Village, though bigger than its original counterpart, is relatively compact, but it feels expansive because of how well hidden the collectibles are. It forces you to engage very heavily with the level design. And that is one of the most special things about this game, even going as far as beyond the game itself. I don't want to get into super specifics, but I just have to bring it up because it is one of the coolest things I have ever seen in a ROM hack. Right at the end, the game shows you a website link, and if you open a browser and go to it, it takes you to a web page where you can find a super secret hint for the game that you would never find otherwise. And when you get to that part, I promise you, you're gonna be like, whoa. Holy shit. And after that, I'm not even gonna say, but let's just say Christmas came early. Or late, because it came out last year. I guess the best way to summarize what I'm trying to say is, every Who down in Whoville likes this ROM hack a lot, and even the Grinch himself said, that's hot. That's all for now, but remember to drop by tomorrow, but you gotta be quick, cause it's gotta go fast. Merry Christmas, everyone!